Hi, welcome to Gadgets 360. We're sure everybody is curious to learn about the newly launched OnePlus 6T, and we've got it with us right here. So without further ado, let's get to a quick first look of the phone itself, as well as the new in-display fingerprint sensor, which is its most important new feature. So this is the box itself. It looks pretty much like the boxes that previous OnePlus models have come in, just with a little bit of a texture on it this time. This red band that says OnePlus Community is probably not going to be on all retail units, but the one that we have is an early unit that is going out to media. So let's take a look at the rest of the box. Nothing much to see, except that we can be sure that this is the mirror black 128GB version of the OnePlus 6T. So here we have the brand new OnePlus 6T right on top of the box. The big highlight over here is the on-screen fingerprint sensor. So there's a sticker over here that tells you exactly how to get started with it. Let's pull that out. You can also just about see the teardrop shaped notch at the top, but we'll turn this on and get a better look at it soon. As we saw on the box, this is the mirror black version with a very shiny glossy surface, and obviously there's no fingerprint reader on the back, but we do see the dual cameras and a flash and another sticker over here with instructions about the SIM cards and the NFC sensor. So as that's booting up, we can quickly compare it to the OnePlus 6, which we also have in mirror black. So there you can see the difference between the two primarily is the fingerprint sensor on the OnePlus 6, and there's no such thing on the new OnePlus 6T. And we'll put that aside for a moment while we look at what's in the rest of the box. The first thing we have is a letter from the CEO of OnePlus. Let's see that. Sure, there it is. Signed by Pete Lau. It's welcoming OnePlus buyers to the OnePlus community. Here we have a USB Type-C cable in the trademark OnePlus Red. And something that's new with this generation, a Type-C to 3.5mm headphone dongle. Because of course this is the first OnePlus phone that does not have a 3.5mm headphone jack. We also have the usual hefty OnePlus charger. Now it does say dash charge over here, even though OnePlus has stopped using the name dash charge. It's simply called OnePlus fast charging now. And if we look closely, it is rated for 5V 4A output, which should help you charge your phone pretty quickly. So you can put those back for a moment. Let's now have a look at the little accessory box. So here we have some pamphlets. In a rather fancy little envelope. Here's the SIM eject tool that everybody will need. Safety information booklet. A quick start guide. And a couple of stickers that might appeal to fans of the OnePlus brand and community. Then we have this translucent black case, which I'm sure a lot of people will appreciate. Last but not least, there is an adhesive screen guard already applied to the phone. So now putting all of this aside, let's take a closer look at the phone itself. We have the OnePlus alert slider on the right, exactly where it was on the OnePlus 6, and the power button right there. So there we have it, individual slots for 2 nano SIMs and no micro SD card support as usual. And the volume buttons over here. On the back we have the 2 cameras. Nothing of note on top except a microphone. And at the bottom we see a USB Type-C port and 2 speaker grills, but a conspicuous absence of a 3.5mm audio socket. The on-screen fingerprint sensor is obviously one of the most important features of the new OnePlus 6T, so let's quickly set it up and see how it works. We'll set up a PIN code as usual. And we see this area lit up in green, which is exactly where we need to place our fingers. And it seems to be recognizing a pattern exactly like any standard fingerprint reader. Now it's asking us to place the edges of our finger, but it's not exactly clear without a physical border how far we should go in each direction. And that's that. Next, we can calibrate the screen or do that later in the settings. And now let's see how the fingerprint sensor itself works. Light it up. There we go. Seems to be pretty quick, but you have to manually put the screen on. So there we have it, the new in-display fingerprint sensor on the new OnePlus 6T, which seems to work quite well in our brief initial experience with it. Now let's just get another look at the OnePlus 6T and talk about some of its features and specifications. As you can see, there's a new reduced water drop shaped notch on the top. This means that the screen size has increased to 6.41 inches compared to 6.28 for the OnePlus 6, and OnePlus claims that there's an 86% screen to body ratio now. We are running Android 9 Pie with OnePlus's Oxygen OS customizations. On the inside, there's a Qualcomm Snapdragon 845 processor, the same as in the OnePlus 6 and in every other flagship this generation, which as we know is an octa-core part running at up to 2.8 GHz with an integrated Adreno 630 GPU. The OnePlus 6T will be available in 3 variants, and the base variant now has 128 GB of storage, which means that the 64 GB tier has been discontinued. You get 6 GB of RAM and 128 GB of storage at the base level, 8 GB of RAM and 128 GB of storage the next step up, and the top end variant has 8 GB of RAM and 256 GB of storage. OnePlus says it got rid of the 3.5mm audio socket in order to make room for a larger battery and in order to accommodate the on-screen fingerprint sensor. What we now have on the inside is a 3700 mAh battery. On the back, you get a 16 megapixel f1.7 primary camera along with a 20 megapixel secondary camera, which is used for depth sensing and to make autofocus quicker. Video recording goes up to 4K at 30 or 60 FPS, and you can record in slow motion at 720p at 480 FPS or 1080p at 240 FPS. On the front, we have a 16 megapixel selfie camera which supports electronic image stabilization and has an f2.0 aperture. Video recording on the front goes up to 1080p at 30 frames per second. That was our quick first look at the brand new OnePlus 6T and our first demonstration of its in-display fingerprint sensor. We've also got a full review of the OnePlus 6T where we'll cover everything in depth, including its display quality, cameras, battery life, and all other features. Thanks for watching and stay tuned to Gadgets 360.